I'm going to review how to input strings and integers, how to do calculations, conditional statements, we'll only do if statements for now, and how to output strings and integers. And I'm going to review all of these by answering this question. Write a program that asks the user the names and scores of two teams that played a game, then reports who won and by how much. So the first thing we want to do is we want to ask the user to enter the names of two teams that played a game and what score they each got. So the first thing I'm going to write is team 1 equals input. Enter the name of the first team. And I'm going to just copy that line for team 2. So team 2, input, enter the name of the second team. And score 1 equals input, enter the score of the first team. And we'll have the second team. And I'll distinguish, we'll call that score 2 and call this one score 1. So we just have 4 input statements here. Team 1, score 1, team 2, and score 2. And we're prompting the user to enter the name and the score of each of these. So remember our assignment here, we're going to write a program that asks the user the names and scores of two teams that played a game, then reports who won and by how much. So we're going to assume that this was perhaps basketball or soccer, so the winner has the higher score. It's not running or golf where the winner would have the lower score. We want to do a comparison between score 1 and score 2 to see who won. However, if I try and do that right now, it won't be able to compare them numerically because everything that you type into the computer goes in as a string. So this has to be converted into an integer. So I'm going to say score 1 equals int score 1. And likewise, score 2 equals int score 2. So let's just run that right now, verify that things are working. Enter the name of the first team. So first team could be the Raptors. Enter the score. Well, the Raptors played last night and they got 129. And enter the name. So the Raptors played the Wizards. So the second team is Wizards. And they won. They got 131. They actually won in overtime. Okay, so right now our program can receive that information, and now it's got to figure out who won. Now, obviously, a person looking at that can tell who won. How do we get the computer to do it? Well, let's first check to see if team 1 is the winner. So team 1 will be the winner if score 1 is greater than score 2. And if score 1 is greater than score 2, then we're going to print team 1 1. And I could put else, however, the else code will run whenever score 1 is not greater than score 2. And if I do that and say that team 2 won, well, let me do this wrong just to teach you here. So I'm going to say else, and then we'll print team 2 Okay, so we've got Raptors, and they got 129, and we got Wizards, they got 131. And it says Wizards won. Now let's say the Raptors got 132 and the Wizards got 131. Then it says the Raptors won, and rightfully so. However, there's one small logical problem in this program, and the problem is if I say Raptors got 120 and the Wizards also got 120, it's going to say the Wizards won, because look, if score 1 is greater than score 2, it says team 1 won, else team 2 won. So whenever score 1 is not greater than score 2, it's going to say team 2 is the winner. So to fix this, instead of saying else, I'm going to say if score 2 is greater than score 1. So if score 2 is greater than score 1, then team 2 won. And then finally, to see if it was a tied game, I'll say if score 1 is equal to score 2. Now notice the double equal sign. Whenever you want to check to see if one variable is equal to another, use a double equal sign. And I'll print team 1 tied team 2. Okay, so let's rerun that, and I'll give them each 120. So let's say the Raptors scored 120 points, and the Wizards also scored 120. Raptors tied Wizards. There you go. Okay, now if you look at the assignment, though, it says to ask who won and by how much. So we've got to determine how much they've won by. So we have to do calculations. So the difference, if team 1 is the winner, then how much they won by is going to be equal to score 1 minus score 2. So I'm going to say they won by score 1 minus score 2. Now, if team 2 won, they won by score 2 minus score 1. That's why if statements are so important here. You want to make sure that the higher number is first and the lower number is being subtracted from it. So let's test this out. So the actual answer was the Raptors scored 129 points, whilst the Wizards got 131 points. And the Wizards won by 2. So to recap, we use input to get the name of the team, and we use input to get the score of the team. However, the score must then be converted into an integer. We must convert it into an integer because otherwise it will see the score as a string of characters as opposed to a number it can do math with. If we don't convert it into an integer, we can't subtract and to find out how much a team won by. And the comparison won't necessarily work right either. It'll do the comparison of the numbers alphabetically as opposed to numerically. We then have an if statement to see if score 1 is higher, if score 2 is higher, or if the scores are equal to each other. Now you could have an elif and an else statement there as well. This would work the same way. Or, yeah, that would probably be the only other obvious way to do this. I'm just going to quickly show you what would happen if we did not do convert this to an integer. So let's say I took this line out here. So I'm no longer converting it into an integer. So now I have the Raptors with 129 and the Wizards with 131. It's giving us an error, and the problem is it can't subtract one string from another. It can add strings together, it concatenates them, but it can't subtract them. And in addition to that, this comparison would not necessarily come out right either. So it's very important when you're working with numbers to convert it so that Python knows that it is a number that you